everyone, it's great to see you. This morning I'm going to take you around the garden and give you an update on a couple of the plants that I've talked to you about in earlier videos. And the first one is this beautiful violet crown hydrangea, which was delivered to me with chlorosis, which is a lack of iron. So I had added some in, and we talked about how the chlorosis shows when the fleshy part of your leaves start to turn yellow and the veins stay a deep green. Now, if you look really closely at the new growth that's coming in here, you can see that the iron is working. We have deep green leaves that are coming, and that's where you want to look at this new growth, because the chlorosis shows up in the new growth first, your tips, but it also will show itself being fixed first up here in the new growth. So we still have some that we have a ways to go. Remember, the granulated form that I added takes a while to absorb, but I can tell that we are on the right path here. So that makes me feel good. So now I'm back here with my autumn sedum, and if you remember, I had pinched this back so it would get more flowers and flowers later in the season. So definitely the flowers are coming later in the season, but notice that we have some type of leaf spot here, some type of fungus, and I actually had the irrigation system fixed, so the sprinklers are working really well, and now my sedum are getting a lot of overhead water, plus we've had such a rainy season that has really contributed to the fungal growth here. So I'm just going to let it go this year. I think this is sort of an out of the ordinary year. If you notice that you're getting a lot of fungal growth on your plants, it probably is because it's been so wet. But I am going to be getting the later blossoms, which is kind of nice to have that extended color going into the fall. The heartbeat Japanese maple right here has been planted in the ground, and remember, this is going to be a very small weeping Japanese maple with a real pop of red color back here, so I think it'll fit in really nicely. It will have enough space. I'm going to move that planter out, so this is a good place. The other two Japanese maples sitting over here still haven't found their location yet. So I do need to give you an update on how the deck planters are doing, because I love them more every day. They are just so beautiful to look out the window and see, and the double impatiens have really come in to hold their own now. I am noticing that they do tend to droop in the heat of the day. Morning and evenings, they look fabulous. I need to make sure I give them plenty of water. The pentas have really been more on the other side here, but they are all here looking great, and I'm seeing a lot of pollinator activity at the pentas. Love that. The verbena that is here, the ombre color, oh, just so gorgeous. Sorry, this is lantana, not verbena. And then take a look at these. So this has never happened to me before. My sweet potato vine is flowering, and actually it's really pretty. So they almost look like little morning glory blossoms. The sweet potato vine, just out of control. And it's not just this plant that's flowering, some of my other ones are too. So these make me feel happy when I look at them, and I hope that as you're watching this, they make you feel happy too. So here's the side garden, and considering that at this time last year it was still all gravel, this is just amazing to me. In fact, it's starting to look a little overgrown, but that is okay. I just love it. A couple highlights of what's going on right here now. One is the beautiful Althea Rose of Sharon. So this Rose of Sharon, I actually have two that I put in last year in standard form, is just the color that I was hoping for. This beautiful rose, they're coming out. Now remember, I can keep this trimmed down. This particular kind only gets to be about 8 to 10 feet, so it has a ways to go here, but I can trim it back by 1/3 each winter, and that's sort of my plan, to keep it nice and lollipop shaped. I do want to show you one of the important things to keeping a standard form is you might have growth that shows up like this. And if that happens, you just take it right back to the main stem. You can take all these little pieces off so that you keep this single trunk look as far up as you would like. Here's my other Althea Rose of Sharon standard, and you can tell this one doesn't get nearly as much sun, so it's behind in its blossoming, but there are tons of little buds here, so I know that it's coming along. I do want to point out one thing way over here on this bush, and that is this yellow blossom here. Oops, and it just fell off. So that's what I was going to talk about. For those yellow buds, that's actually fairly common to happen with a Rose of Sharon. So if you see a number of those, they do just drop off like that. It can be because of too much water. That's probably the most frequent cause. Might be not enough water, but if you're only seeing a few on your Rose of Sharon, don't worry about it. They drop off naturally. The other Rose of Sharon that's blooming beautifully had maybe 5 of those a couple weeks ago. They fell off. So just one of those things to note, that your Rose of Sharon is still fine. Right below this Rose of Sharon, I put a patty pan squash in here just for fun, and no bugs have touched it, no rabbits have eaten it, and it's setting out a lot of squash for us. So I think there's one here that I can pick. So I'm going to pick the squash. Now notice, when I push the leaves to the side, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, there's a whole bunch of little white flies that are going to fly up. Oh, do you see all those? That is not good. Those are white flies, easy to diagnose because they're little white flies. But let me get way down to the center to my little patty pan squash. I like to pick them when they're nice and small. Look at that, that's so cute. So obviously the squash is still thriving. This looks fabulous. But the little white flies have been a problem for me this year a lot. So I've always had some of the white flies on some of the bushes. This is a year where they're just like out of control and everywhere. However, they're obviously not affecting my squash production here, which is good, and I try not to spray too much. I'm gonna have to be really, really careful at the end of the season to clear up all of the dead foliage so that we don't overwinter anything. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.